This year, Rand Paul is highlighting, what the heck number is this? That's millions, that's billions, that's a trillion. Woo! Influencers, who got paid this money? $4.8 million on influencers from our government. What? Spinning kittens for science and motion sickness. What? They put a bunch of cats in a roller coaster or something? Festivus is back. Rand Paul with his annual list of government grift and waste. During this holiday season, he posted, "I'm back. I'm not as back as the Trump folks are. They're so back. I'm just back," which is good. Not everybody can be so back. But what are some of your favorite Festivus traditions? Says, "I try to get everybody to do the feats of strength on the Senate floor. Who has a higher average age, the Senate or the top touring musical acts? Tough call. Springsteen, Mick Jagger, Dylan, or is it Chuck Grassley? Who knows?" So he's got jokes today, Rand Paul, but what he does every year is he releases this report, and this report is fresh out of the oven, a 41-pager, the Festivus Report 2024. Festivus, if you're not familiar, comes from the show Seinfeld, where they had a pole that they replaced the Christmas tree with, and it is where you air your grievances. It's where you explain how much you're upset with all the things. This year, Rand Paul is highlighting, what the heck number is this? That's millions, that's billions, that's a trillion. Woo! This year, a whopping $1 trillion in government waste. What's inside? Ice skating drag queens. $12 million Las Vegas pickleball complex. $4.8 million on Ukrainian influencers? What? And more. No matter how much money the government has wasted, politicians keep demanding even more. And as always, he's been fighting just like Doge before Doge was even cool. Rand Paul has a lot of problems with you federal spenders. Now you're going to hear about them. Here's some of them. There are ghost towns. The federal government spent $10 billion on maintaining almost entirely empty buildings. And there are some photographs of this, so check this out. Here are the empty buildings. $10 billion on these things. Totally empty. $3.3 billion high-end office commodities between 2020 and 2022. Here's one example. The CDC, while they fear-mongered America, it was installing solar-powered picnic tables. So the CDC, solar-powered picnic tables for $237,000. Why do you need solar panels on your picnic table? I don't know. But they also spent $10 billion on empty offices. Here's what some of them look like. Government accountability photo. Nobody's inside. What are they doing? Nothing. Totally ghost towns. Even the busiest offices barely ever reach 50% capacity. It's COVID, telework. These buildings were underused even before we learned how to unmute ourselves on Zoom. $2 billion in annual costs. The federal government is spending $5 billion on leases. That's a lot. Also, how about this? A Florida man stole $8 million in COVID funds. He bought an island, which, I mean, we're looking for an island at one point, the Watcher Island, but it's going to take some time until we can afford that. But I don't know. I never thought about just stealing from the government. Did they care? He got $5 million bucks. Wow. Your tax dollars also paid for the Department of Interior and a $12 million Las Vegas pickleball center. See that right there? So they can go play pickleball with themselves. Federal budget. How much? $12 million. Man, it must be amazing. Here's another one. The Department of State wasted $330,000 to fund censorship of non-liberal and conservative media. Isn't that great? Left-leaning sites were labeled less risky, but the rest of us got smeared and censored. They took $202 million to study kids looking at Facebook ads. Seems reasonable, so that they can study how they respond to those. Taxpayer dollars. There's a hotel that is no longer a hotel. They spent $100,000 on a non-functioning hotel for whatever reason. And that's chump change, okay? $100,000, that's like, the cost of a hammer for them. So here's a direct file fail. Congress spent $15 million, there's a real number, to turn the IRS into an unconstitutional force to prepare, file, and audit your hard-earned money. $15 million for the IRS. Rats, nearly $500,000 on the study of lonely and starved rats. The animals, yeah. Says here, the Department of Energy is burning $15.5 billion, that's a big one, to push Americans towards electric vehicles that they don't want, as we know. They're not happy about that. Influencers, who got paid this money? $4.8 million on influencers from our government. What? American taxpayers struggle under the weight of inflation. They're paying Ukrainian influencers. $15,000 on an influencers event, $22,000 on a social media influencers campaign, in addition to the $174 billion in aid to Ukraine for TikTok dances. Cirque de taxpayer. Here's more. For the National Endowments of Arts, they got $365,000. Girls just wanna have funds. Yeah, girls just want climate funds. Yeah. $3 million for girl-centered climate action in Brazil. Not even in America, man. Can't we fund girls just want to have funds in America? Here's one. Almost $1 million for the Royal Film Commission for movies in Jordan that we'll never see. Here's one. Goalpost and grandstanding. Counter terrorism by playing football. That's a good idea. Here's one. $700 million for bailouts. Yeah. $280,000 for DEI. Wow. National Science Foundation spent almost $300,000 to ensure bird watching groups have safe spaces, aka affinity groups, because you don't want to be offended while you're out bird watching. Interesting, wasteful. Americans are paying almost $900 billion in interest. Okay, look at that. That's almost more than our entire military budget. I think it is more than our military budget at this point. Interest, credit card interest. Yeah. Handouts to Ethiopia. Shout out to the Ethiopians. Man, they got $500,000 for what? Who cares? Biddy bo biddy boo. There go your tax dollars too. $7 million for various magical projects like the Magical School Bus or the Magic City Discovery Center, or $388,000 for a 6-episode per season deep dive into magic. They paid a lot of money for that. How about border security? Oh yeah, $2 million went to Paraguay for their border security, but our border's wide open. Art, $300,000 for art. Oh, that looks beautiful. Looks like Hunter Biden did that one. Wow, looks like a bunch of garbage just got assembled together, and like somebody took some super glue or something and then dumped it on the street. Okay, $300,000 for that. No, it's a 16-foot tall pigeon sculpture. That's it. There's the pigeon sculpture. That's one of the ugliest things I've ever seen. $300,000. All right, so that's going up there. More money for art. Fertilizer. Money is manure, but they're going to use that fertilizer in Pakistan, Vietnam, Colombia, and Brazil, not in the United States, because apparently we don't need fertilizer. Fauci, he funded feline COVID experiments. He spent $2 million to experiment with COVID on our animals. Force-fed experimental drugs to beagle puppies, which was one of the sickest things you've ever seen. Cut their vocal cords. And he targeted kittens and cats. You hear that, internet? Do you hear? Kittens and cats and beagles. Fauci, that dude is just the worst. All right, going viral. They also spent $100,000 to teach the Kyrgyzstan youth how to go viral. So if you're wondering where all those Kyrgyzstan influencer videos come from, you're like, man, I don't know how these kids are so viral all the time. $100,000, that's why. All right, here's one. Spinning kittens for science and motion sickness. What? They put a bunch of cats in a roller coaster or something? They spent $1.5 million to shock kittens. If you learn that your money is being used to electroshock kittens, torturing them, would you be happy with that? Well, they are. In these nightmarish experiments, female kittens are the preferred victims because they're more amenable to this. These kittens, often 4 to 6 months old, are trained to endure long periods of restraint. They're strapped to hydraulic tables that tilts and spins them to give them severe motion sickness. What are they doing? All right, cats debated $10 million for another cat experiment. DARPA, extremely invasive experience where they cut the cats open, expose their spinal cords. This just got dark real fast. Inserts electrodes into their spines. The hell's going on here? More ducking waste in Mexico too. Country's $36 trillion, but they're paying for Mexico ducks. All right. Birds go to Baghdad. $20 million for a new Sesame Street show in Iraq. That's great. News we wish was fake. They gave $250,000 to Bosnia to fight misinformation over there. $90 billion. The Navy sinks billions on our ineffective Navy. $90 billion. That's a big one. And so the list just continues. Now here come the drag queens. The National Endowment for the Arts awarded Bearded Ladies Cabaret 10 G's to support a cabaret show on ice skates focused on climate change. Ugh. Here's one. Taxpayers, $32,000 for breakdancing. Remember that one? And there's the list. There's the sources. Rand Paul is sick of the government waste. And that was a little darker Festivus than normal because we got cats now being experimented on. Cats and dogs. We're not happy with that, my friends, but we appreciate Rand Paul bringing us the Festivus 2024 report, showing us how disgusting our government is during this holiday season.